Hello there everyone, it's me here with a new Men of War video. This is on the new map, I think it's Country, with the new patch 1.17.5. This is a Japanese versus United Kingdom game, and I'm going to be doing pretty much a full narration on this one, my first one pretty much. It's going to be a two-part game due to the fact that it's longer than 10 minutes. So it's not the most exciting game. I actually had a really good game that I did right after this, where my friend here, J Bob, all he did was spam like hundreds of infantry squads and kamikazes, and he just owned the enemy. Like the UK guy was like spamming tanks. He just had so many guys throwing Molotovs that the enemy just couldn't handle it. It was hilarious, but unfortunately it was really slowing down my FPS, so I couldn't really record it. Anyway, as you can see here, I'm in the middle, and I'm pretty much just sending up infantry to the middle. This map is pretty big, and it's similar to River, except almost on a bigger scale, and it's harder to cover in a way, you know. So I'm just sending up my infantry to the middle. It's taking a while. The other guys are doing the same thing and sending over anti-tank guns and the like, and basically just we're waiting to confront each other, you know. So there, my infantry are almost up to the point. I'm zooming in on them right now. I'm starting to wonder here, are there any enemies nearby here? And then it appears to be that there's a Valentine tank right over there. So I realized that, oh, well, he could probably kill my infantry, so I better just lay low so he doesn't notice. I mark it for my allies, because maybe they have an anti-tank gun in the area that they can use to take care of it. But apparently not, so I try to run up a guy to throw up an AT grenade on it, and I'm pretty sure it works. Yes, it does. He tries to drive away the last second. Or no, he doesn't. But anyway, his Valentine gets blown up, and then the guy who did it gets killed. See, that's the thing about this game. You can really easily, like, just dispose your infantry. I mean, in a real war, you can't really do that, but in this game, you can just kind of grab a single soldier and just send him out to his death. I mean, just a guy with an AT grenade, he'll just blow up the enemy tank, but then he'll die, right? So, like, I guess it's worth it, because again, your infantry are not worth as much as this tank, so you win in the end. But anyway, here I'm starting to wonder when more enemy stuff's coming. And it appears that now it's a problem, so I'm gonna have to move my stuff. Now, I don't know if you know about this, but the Japanese really don't have very many heavy tanks. Their best tank is the Chiri, which is an 88mm gun and good armor, and their standard tank is the Chinu, which has about 50mm of armor and a good gun. So Japanese tanks are known to have good cannons, but horrible armor. And you'll also probably notice that even though I'm playing a no artillery game, the Japanese still get the 200mm rocket launcher, which in my opinion is a very useful addition to have, because you can basically fire these rockets from outside the range of enemy weaponry, and they won't even be able to do anything about it. And the rockets come down and they explode with a lot of force, and they can actually blow up like medium and heavy tanks if you watch here. And here there's a jeep on the right side here mowing down my allies' infantry, but the guy's gonna get killed right before he can do any more damage. Then he pulls up, I think, another Cromwell, if I remember correctly. At this point, I'm wondering if I should bring up additional AT support. And you can see in the chat there, I can't really see what's going on here, but apparently I'm wondering if the allies can send up additional AT support. So I grabbed some more riflemen. That's the one bad thing about this map, though, is that unless you get on a transport, it takes a really long time for your forces to move up on this map. I would recommend getting half-tracks to tow your anti-tank guns or to transport your infantry, because it would more likely than not be a good idea. So yeah, there's this other Cromwell there. Trying to wonder what the best course of action would be next. It appears that my ally has an AT gun there, and he's just deployed it. So I'm moving up an AT gun and a squad of riflemen of my own. I'm also trying to save up for a 200mm launcher so I can destroy their positions of infantry up by those sandbags there. In this game, communication is vital. I'm not going to lie, but it is very important that you communicate with your team. Always make sure that you always cover your flanks by spreading out your infantry along ridges and edge lines and stuff just so that your infantry are covering all points of the battlefield and the enemy can't get a drop on you. Because if the enemy gets a drop on you and like flanks you with like an armored car or Puma, he can essentially drive around, destroy all your AT guns and shoot all your tanks and blow them up, and it's just you're fucked, right? So you have to pretty much have to keep your flanks secure in this game. Very important. Another good thing though is this: check if the enemies have done the same. If the enemies haven't secured their flanks, that is a sign to yourself to push forward on those flanks and effectively send in a sapper with dynamite or whatever to blow up his stuff. So as you can see there, I destroyed the turret of his Cromwell with my AT gun that just reached the enemy, and then I crushed the hull. So that means it's pretty much out of action. In this game, a crushed hull basically means that the tank's fucked and he can't use it anymore, but it is repairable. Which means that if the enemy waits long enough to repair it and it takes a very long time, he can actually use it again. If he gets hull destroyed, however, then that means he cannot use it again at all. And anyway, here, and then I'm just trying to shell the enemy infantry that are left in the area, so maybe I can destroy some of his sandbag positions. And then I get into battle, I get a 6-pounder anti-tank gun, and I attempt to take it out with I'm pretty sure I lose the battle because the 6-pounder fires faster. Yeah, and he ends up killing my crew, and then I think the next shot blows up the gun. Yeah, it does. So I'm kind of bad here because I have to bring another AT gun all the way up from my squad. But if I remember, so this time I just kind of get pissed off and I buy a Chinu, which is pretty much just the anti-tank gun that I just had, but on an armored chassis. I mean, it only has 50 millimeters of armor, but it's slow, so it's I would say it's about equivalent to a Panzer IV OSPG. I mean, its hull armor is not 80 millimeters like the OSPG, but its turret armor is 50 millimeters on the OSPG, but this thing is 50 millimeters turret armor, or hull armor and turret armor. But I think the armor on the Chinu is sloped, whereas the Panzer IV isn't, so it does have a little bit of survivability. In my opinion, it's one of the best Japanese tanks, other than the Cheeto, which is kind of like a Panther, if you ask me. And you know the Honi one, which is the Type 90 mounted on an unarmored chassis? Never buy those. The Chinu and the Honi one are the same price, so there's basically no point. Why would I want an unarmored AT gun when I can get a tank? They have the same cannon, there's no difference. I mean, maybe the Honi one's a bit faster, but I don't think so. Anyway, as you can see here, I'm trying to move up some infantry to get back on the point. I'm trying to provide some support with my Chinu, but I don't know how well that's working. Communicating with my allies, and then I'm going to fire by a Crusader. So I tell my guy to attack. Oh, looks like it's lagging here. So both our tracks are damaged. I don't bother going into direct control because the AI can aim better than I am. Ooh, and then my ally's 200mm rocket lands right next to his tank and blows it up. And then that's what I was telling you earlier about the 200mm rockets. They're very, very powerful, and they can easily knock out medium and even heavy tanks if you get a direct hit. And that's what they're really good at, in addition to demolishing enemy fortifications. Even though the Japanese, it's pretty much what the Japanese don't like. Oh, and here, an awesomely placed rocket bomber now, it basically decimates a whole commando squad. They just all got owned. And the commandos are worth like 20 points or whatever, so one rocket destroys this whole squad of elite infantry. If you know how to use the rockets, they can be lethal, as just demonstrated. I'm kind of getting a little worried here because his infantry are starting to move up, and I don't want my tank and my allies' rocket launchers to get blown up. So I think I noticed another 6-pounder there, and there's another Cromwell in the bushes. I don't know what this guy Cromwell. So I tell my tank to engage. He does. Oh no, actually it's a Sherman. Oh. You know, in this game, to tell you the truth, I would actually say the Sherman's better than the Cromwell. Although the Cromwell's gun, I think, has a little more armor penetration than the Sherman's. The Sherman's sloped armor is just way better than the Cromwell's crappy non-sloped armor. And so you see there, I blow up the enemy's AT gun and launch a 200mm rocket to try and take out the Sherman. But it lands too far away, and although it kills a few guys around it doesn't cause a whole lot of damage. My allies' AT gun crew gets killed there, so I'm trying to see if I can take out the Sherman, because the Type 90, sometimes it can take out a Sherman, sometimes it can't. At this point I'm starting to get worried because the enemy is starting to get a lot of capture, like the points capture is starting to go up quite a bit, so I realize it's time to buy some assault infantry and move them in, because assault infantry are heavily armored, and they're equipped with fully automatic weapons that make them very effective at taking out and at assaulting enemy positions and whatnot. So and they're armored, so I just decided to get some of those. Maybe I could secure the point. I'm still trying to shoot the Sherman. I mean, getting yellow and red ratings, which usually means that it probably can't penetrate the armor. I launch off another 200mm rocket there, with a little bit of lag. I aim at the end of the enemy's tank. A rocket lands, it blows up a few infantry, and then I managed to get my rifleman in the middle there, and I tell them to go prone before they get mowed down with the Sherman.